Alright, so I made a little mistake on my mold here. I accidentally put a hole through the bottom, and I didn't want that because I want the bottom to be sealed so the alcohol doesn't flow out to the bottom. And that's my final stove. Obviously I'll need to put a hole in the side to put a tube in, but what I did with here is I took two washers and just taped them onto a piece of foam and just worked around the foam, and then I cut through it with two smaller washers and created a hole in the center. And that hole actually is this piece here. I cut a piece of that off and filled this hole here because this wasn't supposed to be filled. And we'll put a little melted glue gun on there just to hold that in place as we glue this down. But I need to build a core for the center of my stove so that I don't have to pack sand down in there. And that's what I'm working with now. This is my sodium silicate. And this is my ultra fine sand that I have. I didn't buy this stuff. I just happened to come across it from a paint store a while back. It's the super fine white sand. I don't know anything about it except it's super fine. So that's what I'm making I'm going to go with the blend that I saw online. 100 grams of super fine sand and 6.5 grams of sodium silicate. I'm going to mix that up. And I've made this little tube here out of a tube that I had. And it's pretty amazing. It's actually, this is a little loose in here, but it's also a little loose in here because a wire went around there and cut it. So I think it'll be a good fit. I cut a piece of that off. It was too short the first time. So I cut another piece off. And the reason this one's black is because I wrapped it in black tape after I cut down one side and I cut down the other side, which actually made it a little smaller. Perfect. Because now this fits in here pretty tight, about as tight as it fits in there. So that's a good fit. I'm going to pack this with the sodium silicate sand mixture now, which I just finished mixing up a batch here of that 100 grams. Actually, I got to go kind of fast. Not hard as much as I thought. So that's 100 grams of sand and 0.65 grams of the sodium silicate. I'm going to pack this down inside here. I just happen to have this brass piece of stuff here, which will help me pack it down nice and tight because it's a perfect fit. And then I'm going to put it under some CO2. And once I do that, oops, need to get some in there before I look for the bottom. Once I put it in there with the CO2, I will have a hardened core according to what the online says. If I made my sodium silicate properly, and if I am doing everything correctly. We shall find out. Let's see. What's my pack inside? What's my pack inside? Okay. That is packed down tight. Just need a little more on top now. Well, I made 100 grams of this stuff, and from the looks of it, I'm going to need about a tenth of that. Guess I could make 10 of these. If I get it to work, I'll make a couple of these cores. That way, if I want to make a few more, because once the stuff's blended, you got to use it, I think, because otherwise the CO2 in the air will actually harden it up. So I made a lot more than I needed. Okay, so that's rock hard, as you can see. Now we're going to go ahead and expose it to some CO2. I have to get my CO2. I'll be right back. I'm going to pause the camera. Alright, so I've got my CO2 tank hooked up over here, and I've got it going through a little blow tube here. I'm going to blow some air out just to make sure I get the air that's in the line out. And now we're running CO2. So I'm going to put this in this little baggie here. And just fill this little baggie up with air, and then I'm going to ziplock it shut. Oops. Okay, so that should now expose itself to CO2. Let me show my tank off here. Alright. So we'll let that sit in there for 10 minutes, I think is what they said to do. And we'll see if that becomes a hardened core. And if it works, then we'll try and do the rest of these. And in the meantime, what I'm going to do to try and keep that from getting exposed is I'm going to seal it underneath this other container here. And then we'll try and make some more out of this stuff that's down here, as long as we got the extra already blended together. And then we'll see if it fits inside of our stove here. And we're going to do some pour aluminum tonight and see if we can't make this tonight. And that's all for right now. Alright, we're doing another in the dark burn here. We just lit up the burner. We haven't even put the lid on yet. Place the crucible in there. Flames going around. I'll bring the camera over in a second. We're going to burn those 20 hard drives and try and make some more ignites tonight, and we might even pour our first stove, so we'll see how it goes. This is where we are right now. I'll bring you over and let you see the flame. So you can see it just barely circling my crucible. My crucible is almost as large. That doesn't help that I block the light. My crucible is almost as large as my Foundry. And I forgot to put my cardboard down in there, so I may pull this out and put a piece of cardboard in there so I don't stick to the bottom. I'm going to go grab that really quick and drop that in there, or else I'll stick to the bottom. You got to have a piece of cardboard underneath your crucible to build up carbon, so I'm going to grab that really quick. So I'm going to go ahead and let the crucible out and just place it underneath of it. It'll burn away, but it'll turn to carbon, and it'll actually keep my crucible from sticking to that metal plate I put in the bottom of there. Gotta be careful this doesn't blow itself out again. It did. Okay, we're gonna have a gas flow. Here, hold on. Had to turn off the gas really quick if there's no flame. You'll have a big explosion when it does blow. So we gotta get that out. Get some flame in there and turn the gas back on. That's the problem with taking it out like that. You create a bit of a updraft from the wind, and if it isn't hot enough yet, it just blows itself out. Get back, we're lighting up the gas again. There we go. Somewhat of a burn. Now I'll have to dig that carbon felt out of there at some point because it'll block the airflow if I don't. But we're going to let it get nice and hot before I do. I'll move my camera back. We're going to let it get a little hotter before we take that carbon felt out this time. Last time I think we took it out just a little too soon. Alright, we're also at the Foundry. And this is my core. It's in CO2 and it's been in there for about 10 minutes. Maybe a little longer than that, maybe 20. And I'm going to go ahead and open it up and take a look at it while we're out here watching the Foundry burn. It seems like it's pretty hard. A little dust on top and bottom. That's okay. We're going to take the tape off and see what we have. My son's getting excited about something melting over there, so kind of hoping we don't get any rain in here, or else we're done. Ooh, gentle. So then it pops open like that because I have two pieces, and the core should just slide right out of here, and it did. See? So there's my core, and it's nice and hard. So that's ready to go for the stove. So maybe we will pour this stove tonight then. Gotta do a little work on the frame, but that's our core. I know you can't see it very well. I'll try and get a picture of the second one I make inside. Alright, bye. Alright, so we're definitely done melting. Everything seems to be melted. A lot of dross. We did a lot of hard drives here. So all that paint on the hard drive makes for a lot of dross. So we're going to have a lot of dross in here. I found the best way to do it is just get a metal rod, stick it down in, let the stuff attach to it like that, and just slide off. Get all the top stuff off while you're still nice and hot. Then take a spoon and scrape the rest of it off when you're done with that. I still got a piece that's kind of hard. I'm not sure if it's actually even aluminum though. We are going to attempt to pour the stove tonight, but we did realize there was a mistake in our pattern. We really needed a cope and drag, and we don't have one of those. So we're going to see if we can do it without it. If not, we'll just CNC a new piece of styrofoam and start over. Got a question here for people. What do you do with all your dross? I don't even know. I mean, once they get it all out of there, can you reburn it? Is it something that is reburnable, or is it just garbage because it's bad aluminum? I don't know what the consistency of dross really is and why we are taking it off, obviously, because it's too hard to pour. But what do you do with it after that? Throw it away, send it to a recycling plant? Is it even good for them? Anyways, if somebody knows, let me know. Alright, we're back on. We got as much dross as we could get out with the little thing, so we're going to pull this off. Is it glowing on the inside? Yeah, it's light on there, it's hard to tell, but it's burnt off almost all our carbon felt. Yeah, there's still a lot of dross in there. I'm going to try and scrape them out with a spoon real quick if I can get my hand down in there. Let's see how close I can get. It's pretty hot down in there. Get almost all the dross out with the little metal stick. There's not much left in there, which is good. That's pretty good. We got almost all, I think. Especially it's getting hot on my hand here. I think we're ready to go. Pouring it out and pouring. All our stuff is ready for pouring. We're going to move the light over here where we're pouring it so we can see what we're doing. We'll bring it over here and test out our new system. Uh-oh. It kind of melted to the side, that's bad. There we go, it broke free. Back to that melts, we're done. And shut off the gas. Something. I should shut this off this way. Gas is off. We're just blowing air now. That cardboard worked perfectly. Did exactly what it's supposed to do. All our glass is starting to melt down. Alright, let's move on to this now. Uh-oh. It's expanded. Afraid of that. Metal expanded a little bit, and now we can't get the handle up on there. I'm trying to work it up over here. Okay, that was a little unusual, wasn't ready for all that. I have to widen that up next time a little bit. Okay, get one hooked in. Turn it. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. Okay. We're going to attempt to pull that. It's very heavy. I can't even believe how heavy this is. You coming over here, Mitchell? Over to the far side over here.
Okay.
This is our stove. Wind up on me a little bit, couldn't see now. Can't tell if it's still going down or not. We got a lot of aluminum though, so we're going to have to start pouring over here. Can you tell if that went down? Why don't you go over there and leave the camera there and go over and lift the light up.
Okay.
So I can take a look and see what happened there. come up the other side, the vent side?
No, it's still styrofoam there.
Is it?
Yeah.
We're gonna, just like we did last time. Get back a little bit. Things are jumping. Hold the light up high though. Yeah. Shake off this tail there. Okay. There's something still stout at the bottom down there. I wonder if there was a piece of metal in there. Oh yeah, that's what that was. That was a piece of metal in there, a piece of steel. Handle should be cool. Yep. Okay. Not that handle, this handle. Alright, so we've cooled down a little bit. We're going to see if we can pull this apart. I don't know how easy that's going to be, and if it's cool enough. I'm trying to break through some of the sand here. See what we ended up with down here. Okay, so I can at least get it out of there, whatever we ended up with. I don't think we ended up with much. It almost got there. The bottom, the core held up, but it didn't make it into the bottom. We didn't have enough in there. Look at that. Ooh, hot. Sand falling on my hands, hot. Jeez, we were close. And it kind of got crushed down a little bit too when we were crushing it down. But it didn't make it around that little edge. There was just too little bit there.
We didn't have the hollow points that we needed.
I mean, the bottom didn't even get... It's still probably styrofoam down there. Or it just... Yeah, it evaporated into a melty mess. There it is. There's the base of it. Got hot and melted, but never got any steel. Alright, so that's our first attempt at the stove. Well, that ain't going to come off there because that side's bigger than the other side, but our grooves worked really well. Can you see the grooves? So it's just a matter of doing it with the proper equipment. We're so close! So close! Alright, at least you can remelt aluminum. That's the nice part about it. Just throw it back in there and melt it down again. Till next time, guys. Alright, real quick, I want to show you. We unwrapped the core outside in the dark, and I didn't get a chance to show you how my core turned out. That's the core, and I still haven't been able to get it out of there, even after rinsing this off in some cold water. I'm sure I could drill a hole through there and pop it out. I probably will before I use that aluminum again, because I don't want to waste that in there. But basically, I had made my plastic tube and taped it shut, and then I put this in that bag. And once I put it in the bag, I CO2'd it a whole bunch. And then I just kind of unwrapped it until right when I get to the seam there, and just open right up. And then I pop my core right out, and that was my core. It's got a little rough edge there, just wipe it off. But that's the core basically. And you can let that dry for a few more minutes. That one doesn't look very level. Maybe my plastic tube's not very level. But that's pretty much all there is to it. So I'll make a few more of these. While I have that sand all prepared, I prepared 100 grams of it. And, you know, it only took a third of that, or not even a third of that. So I'll make about 4 more of these before I go to bed and just let them sit down here and dry. And as we attempt another stove, obviously we'll need another core. So I'll put some cores together and we'll have them ready to go. However many it takes, we're going to get this thing built eventually here. Man, we were really close there, guys. Really close. I could just see my carbon felt sitting in here and glowing with flame. Maybe next time.